And good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. As you join the Howard Eskin Show and the King speaks, whatever it is, you got it right here. We're going to have Marc Lawrence coming up to take a look at the weekend football. I got some things I want to discuss, and obviously, there's an Eagles game tomorrow that we will discuss. Um, the voting for MVP and Cy Young, interesting in some regards concerning the Phillies. But I also want to tell you that it's very important that I tell you that this show is presented by Stillwell Financial Advisors. Stillwell knows their stuff. That's because Jeff Stillwell knows his stuff. Uh, it's almost like daily. Things change in the investment world. So, any wealth that you want to invest, I really do suggest you talk to Jeff Stillwell. Uh, I'm telling you, you'll learn things. He'll help you. You'll move forward in a really, really uh, tough and engaging economy, probably for the next few years. And Jeff Stillwell can lead you in the right direction. 732-343-0813. That's 732-343-0813. All right. The football game is an interesting football game. It's going to be a tough game. I know Eagles fans always think that they're going to blow the other team out. That's not always the case because a lot of these teams the Eagles play are good football teams. The Rams, as long as Matthew Stafford is healthy, are a healthy team. You know, I saw something, and I it's kind of interesting. I mean, sports sciences, who knows whether it's real, Memorex is an older term, but real or not real. But teams always believe that jet lag is 2 days after the flight. So teams that used to travel on Friday now travel on Saturday when they had a long trip. Matthew Stafford was at the Dodgers game Friday night. He was there because it was Clayton Kershaw's final game pitching in the major leagues. It was a really great moment. It was nice that the Dodgers won the game, for Clayton Kershaw's sake, because he's a great guy. So, but I would think that a West Coast team would want to travel early, but that's not the case. So we'll talk about that. A program note: next week, Tuesday will be the night we will do the show because we worked with James Brown's schedule, the host of the CBS show, the NFL Today, on Sundays. And James will be our guest on Tuesday night, same time, but Tuesday just for next week at 7:30. I want to talk about the Tush push, all this nonsense. It is nonsense about the Tush push. But before we do that and some other things, we're going to have the clown of the week. Uh, Eagles fans sensitive again. Actually, I want to tell you about a party I went to, which I met a lot of nice people. But before I do that, I want to tell you about some other important people in this show. And one of those would be Audi Westchester. I'm telling you, you better not wait. You have just a little over, what's today's date? You have a little over a week to get in on the best deal you'll see on an electric car probably forever. And Audi Westchester has it right now. The 2025 Audi Q6 e-tron, $499 a month, or an Audi Q4 e-tron for $399 a month. You'll need $5,295 down for the Q6, $4,156 down for the Q4, plus taxes and registration fees. I'm telling you, don't wait. He who hesitates is lost. You want this deal, and their inventory is very tight right now on the electric cars. So I would suggest, if you're thinking about it, at least go over and then talk about it. Audi Westchester, 1421 Wilmington Pike. It's like I said, it's not going to last long. The 2025 Audi Q6 e-tron, $499 a month, and the Audi Q4 e-tron for $399 a month. Check it out on their website, AudiWestchester.com. Also, you probably hesitated to try to get your property just fixed up for company. You know, all the good things. You got the fire pit there. You got a little hot tub there. You know, you got all these things working, but you don't have to do all that. And if you want to build a pool, don't wait. Piazza Property Pros. Remember that. Piazza Property Pros. 25 years of experience. They specialize in turning your vision into a reality. Whatever you want, whether it's pool maintenance, landscaping, fencing, excavation, hardscaping, they can do it for you. You got to trust them. They don't subcontract, they do it with their people. Here's a number and check, and they'll work within your budget for a free consultation. 610-566-2608. That's 610-566-2608. Or check them out at piazzaoutdoor.com. I'm going to see some of those people today. I'm going to be the honorary flipper of the coin for a Pee Wee football game that they're involved in today, but we'll do that. All right, couple things. First of all, I want to deal with the tush push. And, if you want to join the show, it's really pretty simple. It's really pretty simple. Let me give you some basic instructions. All right, you click on the link, which is on in the chat room there, and you can click on. It's on the stream. Make sure you allow to the camera and microphone. If you don't want to allow the camera, once you allow that, you can put an X through the camera icon, and you can get rid of that if you don't want the camera. But you have to do that. Enter your name and join the waiting room, and we'll get to you. And you will be a part of the show. The tush push. All right. Do we have? Hey, Joe, I see Abe is there. Okay. Tony's been on before. I don't know if Abe's been on before. Tony will get on next. Let's go to Abe if Abe's ready to roll. Hey, Abe, what's happening, man?
Nice to meet you, Howard. I've met you on Jacob Sports when you come on with Sills, and ever since then I've been trying to watch your show. I've been loving it ever since. I appreciate you.
All right. You're pissed off that they're going to eliminate the tush push next year. Tell me, I know you are, right?
Am I? It's like it goes both ways. I can understand the business side, but I understand the Philly fan side. We're the best at it. Nobody can do it like us, and everybody's just mad at it. So why can't you just build a team to beat it? Because
Yeah, but here's the problem.
Teams that do it.
Here's the problem. The problem is the officials can't officiate it properly, and that's the problem. And that's not fair to anybody, really. It's just I see Chris. There's a comment up here. What's wrong with just the old fashioned quarterback sneak? Play football. It's a gimmick play, and it works for the Eagles, and that's great. But Eagles fans get all bent out of shape. They get all bent out of shape, and it's crazy. And you shouldn't. It's just you don't need the tush push if you're a good football team. You don't. It's pretty it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. So I'm sure you think the Eagles are going to win on Sunday.
I believe so, most definitely.
Okay. I'm going to ask you one more question. And thanks for joining the show. Mm-hmm. The National League MVP voting. There's a few guys that really have good numbers. Ohtani, obviously, he had another home run on Friday night. Schwarber, Ohtani's hit back-to-back. Well, it's only this season, back-to-back 50 home run seasons. And Schwarber. I'm not so sure that, Schwarber's right in there. But I think the edge goes to Ohtani because he pitches and he plays.
That's it. When you can pitch and you can hit, there's nothing you can beat that. Like I love Kyle Schwarber. The man hits bombs like crazy, but man, Shohei's something you can't replicate.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, all right. Hey, Abe, I appreciate you joining the show. Do it in the future.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, brother. All right. Take care. All right. We have somebody else up there before we get to. All right. Let me read this comment by the Raymond George, who's the vice president of officiating training. All right. And he said in the meeting they go over with officials, the Eagles committed a penalty on 2 of the tush pushes. See, that's a problem, and it's hard for them to officiate. Let me read his comment about the tush push. Um, basically, he says, anytime we have this situation, we're in short yardage. We know we have to make sure that we officiate these plays. The offensive team has to be perfect in every aspect. We want to officiate it tight. So he says, we want to be black and white and to be as tight as we can when we get into this situation where teams are in a bunch position and we have to officiate them being on sides movement early. Prior to the snap, it looks like we have movement by the right guard. He's talking about the Eagles. We also have movement coming across from the defensive line, but this is a very hard play to officiate. It was 3rd and 1 with 5:29 left, and he was talking about that. Despite the movement, no penalty was assessed. George emphasized what the call should have been. You can see the right guard moves early. You've got your defender who's trying to punch the ball, but more so, we have a false start coming from the right guard. We want to make sure that we officiate these plays tight, make sure that we ensure that every aspect of the offensive team is legal, and any movement that's not correct, we want to shut it down as a false start. False start would have been the proper call there. And the Eagles also ran the tush push on a 1-yard touchdown by Hurts later in the quarter. The Fox broadcast highlighted that guards Landon Dickerson and Tyler Steen both appeared to move early. Why do Philadelphia fans, Eagles fans, they are the biggest whiners in America? Well, I don't know the other cities that as well, but it seems like Eagles fans are the biggest whiners in America. The biggest whiners. You don't need to play. You're a really good football team. You don't need that play and to have everybody, whine about it or whatever. It's just you don't need the tush push. All right, we have somebody else up there before we get to Mark, Joe. Let's go to Tony.
Hi, Howard. How you doing?
Oh, I'm just great, Tony. How are you?
Hey, what are you making the Sixers trying to get Kawhi Leonard from the Clippers?
Do the Sixers still play in Philadelphia? Do we really care about the Sixers?
Well, come on. They're trying to build a...
What? You're reading social media. I don't know how they fit him into their cap. They're going to try to dump Paul George. Do you think that the Clippers want Paul George back after he only plays about 50-some games a year and he's got 3 years left on a contract? Do you really think they want Paul George back? That's the only way you can make the deal.
No. So
I don't even worry about the Sixers. The Sixers are irrelevant to me, Tony. Are irrelevant with everything that's going on.
All right, well, jump the topic then with the Flyers. The Flyers are,
Well, I'd rather talk about the Flyers.
I know you.
I mean, the Sixers are a waste of all our energy and time. They are a horrible organization, mismanaged. The general manager, president, whatever Daryl Morey is a fraud. It's a joke. They got at least two bad contracts in Embiid and Paul George. Why am I even talking about it? All right, what else do you want to talk about, Tony?
Well, now the Eagles with the Rams, they're winning their games. Now the offense, for some reason, they stopped playing by the second half. I don't know if it's that the new offensive coordinator, or is he scared? He's just kind of playing safe.
No, when the players make plays, I mean, they make plays to put players in better positions. They don't want Jalen Hurts to turn over the ball, so they'd rather run the ball than pass the ball because you're more susceptible to turnovers with the pass. That's pretty much what they've done. But Saquon Barkley was lights out last year. So there's a difference there than there is right now. That really is the difference. That's
so
the
you
difference.
You think that defenses have figured out Barkley already then? That's what you're saying?
Well, they're doing it differently, so the Eagles have to adjust. But when a player has that many carries the previous year, historically, they're not as good the next year. He's a really good back, but don't expect 2,000 yards and don't expect him to be as good. Good, but not as good. All right.
Well, I mean, he's not banged up though, so you'd think he has his legs still, right?
I guess he does, but again, history shows you can see they're not running him as much, and they're not running him as much because they're trying to save him for the end of the year. All right, Tony. Hey, thanks for jumping on, Tony.
All
Always
right,
good
see
to
you
see you.
later.
All right, see you. I see in some of the comments uh, from Dale Wheeler, AJ Brown was spotted at the bookstore. He must be frustrated. That's obviously a joke. Patty H joined us again. She liked, I guess, what Dale said, but whatever. All right, let's go to Marc Lawrence, and I'm going to play one. I'm going to show one more thing. Actually, two more things. First of all, I'm going to give you our winner of the Mike Schmidt commemorative booklet from last week. The question was pretty simple. Ray Dittinger, who did he think were the top team and the top two teams in the NFC to challenge the Eagles? And Steve Schwed got it correct. He said obviously Green Bay, and he also included the Rams. A postmarked commemorative booklet signed by Mike Schmidt. Steve, congratulations. You are the winner. And we will have a Chickies and Pete's gift certificate to give away later. I just want to play one comment, not play it, show it to you. One comment from Al Michaels. And again, Eagles fans overreact to almost everything. All right, Al Michaels on the Thursday night broadcast. A really quick, just off the cuff comment. Some teams, he was talking about Buffalo. And how exciting they are to watch. Some teams are good, but not particularly interesting. The Buffalo Bills are a good team to watch. So now, the graphic that was posted somewhere shows the Eagles. So people assumed he was talking about the Eagles. And then they got all bent out of shape and social media went crazy. Why do Eagles fans are so uptight and so overreact to everything? I don't care if the tush push goes, and it probably won't be here next year. And I don't care what Al Michaels says. You just go out and you play a football game. Stop whining. I don't want to hear any more whining. All right. I'm done with your whining. All right. So I made my comment. And we're going to have the clown of the week coming up and talk about the party I was at. And I want to say hello to a lot of nice people who I met at the party. All right. Joining us now to take a look at the weekend football, and that would be Marc Lawrence. Marc, how are you?
Hey, I'm just terrific, Howard. How are you doing?
Oh, just another day in paradise, Marc. Just another day. What can I tell you? Football weekends are always better than other weekends. Although this summer people go away, but football weekends just create a lot of excitement for everybody, and of course, they like to bet it.
Hey, Howard, let me say this real quick. I was on listening to a couple of listeners, and you're talking about the tush push, and it's obviously a very popular subject in the National Football League. And my real quick short observation is two things. Number one, you are spot on. It is a gimmicky play, and it just looks illegal as hell. And I think the National Football League will have no problem doing away with the tush push.
That's because the officials, it's obvious now, and Dean Blandino was on a Fox broadcast last week, and he said it's just, and he was the former director of officials. The Eagles, a lot of time, I should say, some of the time, and it's not called because it's too difficult to call. It's a false start. They're offsides, false start, whatever you want to call it, and it's just too tough for the officials to call the play, and you're putting them in a really bad spot. And that's the problem. That's probably the biggest problem with the tush push. So why put them in that situation? You're a good football team. You don't need that. You don't need that. If you're good enough, you don't need that. But your 2 cents was welcome. But I give your 2 cents is 5 cents because it's not always the caller. So I give you an extra 3 cents on your opinion. All right. So let's take a look first at the college football before we obviously get to the pros. Who do you like? Today would be Saturday.
I'm going to look at a couple of college football teams. We're beginning to get some stats behind these teams, and they become meaningful. And I like to look at them at this stage and move forward with them. I love offenses and defenses that are better than their opponents and their underdogs. I call them BODs, better offense, better defense. And we've got a couple of them, I think, that stand out on the card today. We're going to take a look, first of all, with Wyoming, taking 13 from a Colorado football team that is deeply troubled this football season here. It's only apparent that Sanders losing his kid to the National Football League draft, losing the Heisman Trophy winner. This is not the same Colorado football team that he was last year. They're using 4 quarterbacks, Howard. You can't have a 4-headed quarterback team. It's just not going to work. They're going to long time here for Colorado. They've been outgained in every football game they played thus far this year. And you talk about a Wyoming team that ranks real high in returning offense with 9 starters back, number 4 in the country in returning production on offense. I think Wyoming plus the 13 can pull the rug out on Colorado.
Yeah, I was looking for the numbers. So Wyoming plus the 13. Who else do you like?
The other guy is going to be West Virginia. I'm going to fade Kansas here. Another football team that has been up and down, maybe a little bit because of their quarterback injury situation, but give West Virginia their due on what it is they've done so far this season here. Rich Rodriguez has put a real spark back into this football program, and they come off that big win over Pittsburgh. The reason I'm bringing that up is there's another podcast that I do with Terry Bowden, used to be the head coach at
Okay.
West Virginia, and we're talking about this game, and I asked him, I said, is there going to be a letdown? Do you see one coming from West Virginia this week? He says, oh my goodness, no way. He says, all that is a confidence builder for this program. So you can dispel the fact that they did beat Pitt and they'll let down. They're not going to let down today. Better offense, better defense. Give me West Virginia plus the points.
You know, a lot of times you don't like to take a team off a big win. You concern yourself. You've seen in the past that letdowns are historically part of the way you look at games. So you're not worried about the letdown there.
No, I'm not. And, the reason I brought up the Bowden's comment situation is they're just that, yes, it is a rivalry game and potentially a letdown in order, but him having been with that program before knows the situation and knows that when you do beat an opponent like Pittsburgh, you come back really feeling confident the next game. So we'll dispel that. And there are no other games, by the way, on the card this week with letdowns per se. I think the only team that would be letting down would be Texas A&M when they beat Notre Dame, but they don't play this week. So really no letdowns per se in the card this week.
Okay. I'm going to give you one. All right. I'm going to give you one only because I'm in the area and I know we talked about it when I talked to you this week. Delaware came off a huge win against UConn. That's a big win. And I don't know if UConn's good enough. I don't know what the situation is, but Delaware is now playing Florida International. At one point, I said, there's probably going to be a letdown. That was a big win for him. But the line has gone down about 2 points. It went from 6.5 to 4.5. Delaware was the underdog. In that situation, I'd worry about a letdown for Delaware. It's not a team that most people look at. They're starting to play some Division I schools, some real competition. But do you look at, how do you look at that game? I'll just ask you, how do you look at
Well,
that?
you have to wonder, Delaware being all excited as they are, new kids in the block, new team in the FBS this football season here. Do they even know, or are they aware of the fact that they should be in a letdown situation here?
Yeah,
I think they're just thrilled to be at the party personally. And Florida International, if you want to use them, I'd say good luck. They just come off a big game with Florida Atlantic. They're a crosstown rival down here in South Florida here. I see your point exactly. Delaware should be letting down in a game like this. I don't know if I'm going to reach my pocket for that, but nonetheless, I'm wondering if it applies because they're the new kids in the block.
Yeah, the fact that the line went down like that, it went down from, I guess, midweek 6.5, and it's now down to 4.5. I kind of looked at it a little bit. It's just, I don't think Oklahoma's going to let down after the win against Temple, the first conference game against Auburn. I don't think that's going to happen. But I wonder how good UConn is. Again, I'm looking at some of these teams. You say, how good are they? They're a 20-point favorite against Ball State. After they get beat by Delaware, how can they be a 20-point favorite?
Well, they're really not getting a lot of credit here. Look at what they've done the last couple of years here, UConn. They're kind of like snuck up on everybody. They all of a sudden they are a legitimate football team program as opposed to what they were in the past. And it's Jim L. Mora, their head coach. Who is Jim L. Mora? Is that Jim Mora as we knew him, or is it Jim L. Mora, a relative of Jim Mora? I don't quite know that.
Well, it's Jim Moore Jr. I mean,
Okay,
it's Junior, and maybe he changed it because people don't mention the junior part of it, and they just
I
say
bet.
Jim Mora. So maybe he just because Jim Moore Senior, and I know both of them, uh, just went by Jim Mora. So
Right.
Jim Moore Jr. to identify because they were both involved in football at the same time. Maybe now he's just trying to re-identify who he is. Who knows? But it's Jim Moore Jr. I think it was Jim.
Well, tip of the hat to him. He's done a great job with the program here right now, and he's going to probably be at a bigger school here real soon if this continues with the Huskies.
Yeah, but losing last week to Delaware was no.
No,
That,
no, 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 no. It's not at all. But the body of work the last 2 years has been really, really something to be
right.
proud of.
All right. So here's it looks to me like people want to bet Bill Belichick. Really, I think it's he's coaching that team. They should win every game. And yet they're getting the line was 7.5. Now I think it's 6.5. UCF is probably a decent team, right? They're probably a good team.
Yeah, they are a nice team, and this is also a spot that you're going to put North Carolina, Bill Belichick on the road into a pretty tough environment. They don't lose a lot in uptown in Orlando, Central Florida, doesn't here, and I think slowly but surely we're going to see North Carolina exposed this football season here. They're,
Mm-hmm.
they're not a threat to just about anybody in the conference, and I'll be stunned, absolutely stunned, if this football team becomes bowl eligible this year. North Carolina, I think they got some problems there as well.
That means you don't think they're going to win 6 games because they want to get them in the bowl
Well,
situation.
they would want to, but they're going to have to do it on the field. They can't. You can't Bill Belichick your way into a bowl. You have, you have to win on the scoreboard. So we'll see whether or not they can do that.
Well, in college, you can cheat a lot easier than you did. They caught him in the pros. You can cheat a lot easier. Is there a team that might be looking ahead to a big game next week and kind of just soft pedal through the game this week?
Well, that would be probably of the whole card. I would say perhaps Oregon, because they do have Penn State coming up next, and that's going to be a pretty
Oh,
big
yeah.
football game for both teams.
That's at
Uh,
Oregon, too, I think, right?
the Penn State game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's at Oregon. Uh,
I'm pretty sure it is.
you know what? And how about
Yes,
this?
it
While
is.
you're looking that up, okay.
No, it's at Penn State. Sorry, it's at
Oh, it
Penn.
is at Penn State.
Yes, it is.
Boy, I wonder if Oregon's going to be the favorite or Penn State's going to be. It's going to be a tight, whatever it is, it's going to be a very low line. But you mean Penn State's actually going to play a team that's not a high school team next week? My God. But they have a bye week, right? Penn State
Yeah.
has a
Oh,
bye week.
that's what he does. I was going to mention that he schedules a bye week before Oregon, and his other big game against Ohio State the same way. He's got a bye week before Ohio State. He's a manipulator of the schedule, obviously, and knows what he's doing as far as the alumni is
You
concerned.
know what? I'm sorry, Penn State fans. I just hope he loses both of them because he is such a fraud and such a phony. It's really kind. So you would look. So Oregon's looking ahead. Possibly you wouldn't. That's a big number too. You wouldn't lay the number.
It's a big number. They're playing Oregon State. That's that Civil War rivalry they should not be letting down, but it's not the rivalry that it used to be because the Pac-12 disintegrated, as we all know. They don't even play in the same conferences anymore. So I don't know if they will be looking ahead to Penn State. Take a pulse. I think they probably will. Would it be a factor to bet the game? I don't think so.
All right. Let's take a look at the pros. Who do you like in the pros?
I'm going to fade a couple of favorites that I think have holes from what we've seen so far in the National Football League. And I'm going to use a couple of underdogs that I think are taking some nice value points here. First, I'm going to play New England plus the points against Pittsburgh. And if you tear this Pittsburgh Steeler program down and what they've done so far this season, they've been something close to next to pathetic. Uh, they've been out-yarded each football game by over 100 yards in each contest. Now, that's not Aaron Rodgers like. And you've got a New England football team here that's really on the come, that appears to be at least on the come. They're at least a decent program now. Drake May is coming around right now. It's strange. He's coming and Aaron Rodgers is going. I like New England in the upset here. I think Pittsburgh is vastly overrated.
Yeah, their defense apparently is really weak. The numbers probably show that too, correct?
Yes, they do,
Yeah.
especially to the run, which is where it counts in the National Football League.
Yeah, it's just New England's not that good a team, but playing at home, Pittsburgh, their defense is not very good. And I'm not all cranked up on Aaron Rodgers either. It just he's not mobile enough. If New England has any kind of a pass rush, Aaron Rodgers is in trouble.
We're seeing the same thing here, sadly, with Aaron Rodgers that we saw with Brett Favre in his career when he went out and he didn't want to refuse to give it up and he kept hanging on, went to the Jets. And even you can say a little bit of Joe Montana when he closed out at Kansas City. These guys are Hall of Fame quarterbacks and they kind of continue their pride and their ego keeps them in the game. And Aaron Rodgers shouldn't let it do that. Aaron Rodgers should be retired.
Yeah, well, I can't believe he cares about the money. But it shouldn't be about the money. I guess it's the ego. He just doesn't want to leave not being, and people have him on, but he won't be as big if he's not playing football. That's probably the
That's
biggest.
what it is, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. Who else do you like?
I'm going to go Monday night, take the points with Detroit against Baltimore. And what you got here is Detroit with the better offense and the better defense. And you've got a real nice stat inside the football game. You take a look at their head coach, Campbell, from Detroit. He's been terrific in the role of an underdog against teams that come off double-digit victories. He's 15-2 to the spread in his career in the NFL in this particular role. And you're taking a look at Baltimore. They're in a bad situation technically in that they've scored 40 points in each of their last two football games. And what goes up usually comes down in the NFL. You score 40 or more back-to-back weeks, you find it very, very difficult to scratch even close to 40 the third game. Home favorites in this role are 7-17 against the spread. That's the role Baltimore is in. I think Detroit plus the points gives Baltimore fits and even wins the game.
Yeah. Wow. If they win the game, Baltimore could be in a little bit of trouble. I think
Yes.
Baltimore's defense obviously struggles a little bit too. And
They do, but add it all up, Howard. Remember we talked about college football. Better offense, better defense. That's Detroit in this football game.
okay. All right. I mentioned to you when we were talking before we went on the air, the Las Vegas Raiders are traveling east, and the Commanders, Redskins, whatever you want to call them, but they're the Commanders now, are still holding at a 2.5-point favorite without their starting quarterback. It's something about the Raiders that for a 1 o'clock, when I say traveling east, for a 1 o'clock game, and they played Monday night. Then they're back at home. They were at home, and Tom Brady was nice enough to be in the coach's box, which was a joke too. It's still a joke. And so they play Monday night, and then they have to travel to the East Coast for a 1 o'clock game. How do you look at that game?
Well, that's a good factor that you mentioned here. Not only is it a West Coast, East Coast game, but it's also coming off a Monday, which is 1 day shorter. So the rest should probably factor in against the Raiders in this contest.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also coming into the season here, we had Washington scheduled as a fade or a play against this year as a return to the norm. After all the good things they did last year with a rookie quarterback, I think that all comes back a bit, especially in his second year. Now he's not playing here, obviously, but I think the team comes back to the norm. This is a Raider football team that scratched and clawed its way, if you will, to a win over New England on the road earlier. Now they're at Washington again on the East Coast here. I don't think that the Monday night factor is going to factor into this game here. I'm still anti-Washington, at least until I see different.
You know what? Do you think that the Dallas Cowboys are only a 1.5 favorite? Are they that bad that they're only a 1.5 favorite at Chicago?
Well, the question might be, is Chicago that bad? Also,
Right.
the Bears have gotten big problems here. Ben Johnson has not taken a hold of this football team like they expected. And I know they're really coming apart inside the locker room at Chicago. They're expecting a whole lot more. Dallas is obviously in more of a critical need situation because, for all intents and purposes, there's going to be a second place slot in the NFC East behind the Eagles this year. And Dallas wants to be that because that would be a playoff berth for the football team.
Mhm.
But am I surprised at the line here? Yes, I am. I'm surprised Dallas personally is even favored in the football game for the way they played. But we also know what we're beating here in Chicago here. I do not want any Chicago Bear this week.
So you don't like the game at
No,
all,
I don't.
obviously.
No.
No, you wouldn't. You know what? Is Arizona so far, in your opinion, a good football team? Yeah, obviously they're better than they were last year. Are they a good football team? They're
Well,
they're they're
they
only
have the
getting
potential.
they're getting a point and a half against San Francisco. Doesn't have their starting quarterback either.
But here's the problem with Arizona, though, Howard. While they look potentially good here, they have 2 wins in their belt. They started out 2-0. They were out-yarded in both of those football games. And that almost always comes back to beat you. Now you're in a win-type situation here against a team that is coming into the season superior to them, at least expected to be. And I really like, and I don't know if Brock Purdy's starting this game or not. I think it's going to be Mac Jones, and I really like what the chances of Frisco does with Mac Jones. I see
Right.
a born-again quarterback here in Mac Jones, and I think the team's going to really take to him. I think it's too small of a number for Arizona with these phony stats to go into Frisco. And Frisco's not getting any love at all right now. Again, they're injured, but they're winning. That's all they keep doing. And I'd probably lean to Frisco in this football game.
All right. Who do you think? Which team do you think? Which team do you think is a desperate team this week?
Desperate. Well,
Desperate. They have to win the game. Desperate, and
obviously it's Kansas
they
City.
all want to win the game. But
Yeah, it would obviously be Kansas City because they're 0-2, and only one team has ever made the playoffs since they realigned that started 0-2 that made the playoffs. And that's what Andy Reid tells his team this week, guys. We can't go into an 0-3 hole here. But I don't think they're even going to be coming close to losing this football game. But I think they're the desperate team right now, Kansas City.
would you think Houston is somewhat desperate
I
too?
think they're somewhat desperate here as well, and I think they can expose Jacksonville in this football game here. Liam Cohn come over and took over as a head coach there with Jacksonville. Supposed to give some spark and reborn birth to Trevor Lawrence. Hasn't quite happened yet from the quarterback position here, but I think Houston comes here with everything they've got. I think that's the sneaky upset on the card Sunday here, the Houston Texans.
Okay. All right. And now let's take a look at the Eagles and Rams, which these people, every Eagles fans are they're pathetic sometimes, but they think every game the Eagles play is going to be a blowout. I can't believe this game's going to be a blowout.
No, it's not going to be a blowout. You take a look at the LA Rams, who go backwards on them. You go back 17 games, half of the season, or go a season back and just make it 17 games. This team has won 13 games. The last 10 games, they've won 9 times. They've been terrific as an underdog in this assault they put on here of late for the Rams here. My concern for Philadelphia is that the fact that better offense, better defense belongs to the Rams in this football game here. And this Philadelphia offense hasn't really been all what it's expected to be. I think this is probably one of Philadelphia's toughest games they've got on tap here this week. The schedule does not work well at all for them. Super Bowl teams at home coming in situations like this as favorites are not good in this particular role. I think there's an upset here, Howard. I think the Rams are going to walk out of Philadelphia with the win.
Ooh, you like the Rams to win the game?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's interesting. All right, I'm going to ask you a baseball question, and I know you follow it all. If you had to pick a team to come out of the National League, I don't care about the American League because there are some really good teams over there. If you had to pick a team to come out of the National League to go to the World Series, give me a couple of teams that you think have the best chance.
Well, I think you got to look at the Milwaukee Brewers for all the work that they did this or baseball season here this year, and they're going to enter into the playoffs here, and they can cap it all off doing just that. You don't want to go to the obvious, to the chalk, the Dodgers, and teams like that. I don't know if there's even a couple of teams here. I would say the Milwaukee Brewers is who I put my stake on.
Okay. And where do you think the Phillies fit in? I'm not a big fan, and people, bust my chops about this. I just don't like their lineup. I mean, they win Friday night, and it's 8-2. It looks like it's a blowout against Arizona. However, they scored 5 runs in the last 2 innings. They feast on relief pitching, and so much relief pitching is garbage in baseball. They feast on relief pitching, but they kind of struggle a little bit with the starting pitching.
Is that a factor today? I wonder because these starters are only expected to get 5 or 6 innings at most, and it's a
Yeah.
whole new game. The bullpens and I think they're doing what they're supposed to do, relying on these bullpens as they do. It makes handicapping the games just pull my hair out doing that, because starting pitchers aren't worth what they used to be worth. All they have to do is hold the fort for 6 innings and like that. So they're fortunate they have a bullpen, but sometimes managers can over rely on bullpens here as well. We'll see whether or not it bites them in the playoffs, but I think they're in a decent position here. But I'm going to still make Milwaukee my surprise team.
Somebody brought up the name Carson Wentz on the chat line here, and he's starting this week, I believe. Is that
Yes,
correct?
he is. Yes, he is.
Would you take that side? Uh,
I would take that side of the football game. I'm not a huge Carson Wentz fan, and obviously neither are many other teams, because he's been around and back and forth. But this Cincinnati football program has problems, Howard. They've been beat up badly in the stats their first 2 football games they played. Minnesota hasn't won either, but Cincinnati's getting pounded and drilled in the stats. I don't see Cincinnati going on the road without Joe Burrow and standing a chance in a game like this. I think Cincinnati gets exposed for who they are, and I think they're one of the biggest phonies in the National Football League.
okay. All right. Mark, if people want to get a hold of you, it's 800-321-7777 or in the internet, playbooksports.com. And, well, good luck this weekend. I know the people hope you're wrong on the Eagles game.
I'm sure they do.
But and they'll whine about the first time an official calls it a penalty on the tush push, these Eagles fans will whine up a storm. They'll be all over social media. They just don't like the Eagles. I mean, all that nonsense. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I'll just go out with this thought, Howard. That play just looks illegal as hell. That's all I'm going to say. Okay.
Okay. Mark, have a great week. I'll
Hey,
talk
you
to you
too,
next
Howard.
week.
Enjoy the game. Thanks,
All
man.
right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Stop whining. Hey, listen, it's not a football play. And if they eliminate, hey, it's all fun and games right now. And it's been successful for the Eagles, and that's great. But if they're committing a penalty and they start calling it, there's going to be hell to bear, boy. And the officials are going to start calling it. All right, I'm going to have a question coming up shortly. And this week, you're going to win, you're going to be eligible to win. You're not all going to win a gift certificate to Chickies and Pete's, where so many locations, you could use it anywhere. You can actually, there's locations outside the city. So when I ask the question, go to my contact page at howardeskin.com, put it in, actually, put it in on Monday night. It says Tuesday night. Tuesday is the show. Put it in Monday night. That's my fault because we changed the show. So put it in by Monday night. You have plenty of time, and we'll pick a winner on the show. It'll be on Tuesday. Our show next week will be on Tuesday, September 23rd with James Brown. You can watch it on YouTube, X, Facebook. Subscribe to YouTube, and it'll tell you when we come on. And so that'll be, and I'll come up with the question shortly. Also, I want to make sure you know how important our presenting sponsor is, Stillwell Financial Advisors, Jeff Stillwell, who really, 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 really knows his stuff. Any kind of wealth that you want to invest, because the world changes financially, give Jeff Stillwell a call. Stillwell Financial Advisors, 732-343-0813. Also, I want to tell you, you don't have much time. You do not have much time to get in on a great, when I say great, that's GREAT, great deal at Audi Westchester, and it's just a little over a week left, and the inventory, they've done so well with this sale. The inventory is not big right now, so you want to get in if you still want to get one of those electric cars, the Q6, the e-tron Q6 for $499 a month with $5,295 down, plus tax and registration, and the Q4. $4,156 down with taxes and registration. Audi Westchester, it's fun to go look at cars. It's 1421 Wilmington Pike. Special deals not going to last long. It comes inventory. The end of the month, it's over. This is your opportunity, and it's a great opportunity. Trust me. Check out AudiWestchester.com. and you want to take care of your property. So when you have guests over, it looks really special. Piazza Property Pros will do that, can and will do that for you. 25 years of experience. Don't subcontract, which is really important in today's world. So it's their people, 25 years of experience. Whether it's building a pool and you hesitated with that, don't hesitate any longer. You want to do something with your property, whether it's excavation, fencing, landscaping, redo the property area, pool maintenance, whatever it is, they can help you and check and see and have them work within your budget. Here's the number, 610-566-2608. You can get a free consultation. That's 610. Not everybody gives you a free consultation. 610-566-2608. Check them out on the internet, piazzaoutdoor.com. All right. People want to join the program. You can click on, I see we have some comments here. Win how you must, cheat if you can, but never lose. That's PA Sports. Well, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And who is it? Stagger 57. Who's whining? Eagles fans always whine. Oh, I should get rid of the tush push. Oh, yeah, that's because nobody else can do it. They're whining. Oh, you want me to define a football play? A rugby play is not a football play. And hey, listen, it works for them and it's great, but it's fun for the Eagles fans, but there's no suspense to, what's the play going to be? If you have to run 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 or 4th and 1.5 or 3rd and 1.5, you think about, all right, it's into it. You think about plays that they're going to run. It puts some thought into the game. There's no thought with the tush push. There's no thought with the tush push. Absolutely none. So just understand that. And who's on the line? George? Yeah. All right. Let's go to George. Hey, George, what's happening?
To you, man.
Yeah, you too.
Like last night, went to a local high school game. That was nice. Love football season.
Yeah, I'm going to be the honorary flipper of the coin at a Pee Wee football game today. Piazza is involved in that game, so I'm going out there to flip the coin for him today.
Nice.
Yeah.
The push tush. I was for it. I was like, hey, stop it, or do it yourself. But after the NFC title game and that debacle, and then last week and seeing what was going on with it, I'm done with it.
You're done, huh?
You're
an Eagles fan that's done.
I was a typical Eagles fan going, you know what? Stop it. Just stop it. Go create a defense that stops it. But you have the defenses going off sides, and it just started last year at the NFC title game, and I was like, this is crazy. Watching Washington go off sides, and all of a sudden the official goes, if they go offside again, we're going to award them a touchdown. I'm like, wait a second. That's not what the game's about. That started getting me going the other way. And then last week I said, you know what? Man, you just said it. If you're good enough, you don't need it. You don't need it. And that's where I'm at with it. My mind changed on it. It isn't a football play. You could get injured on the play. I mean, it's go to the quarterback sneak. You know what I'm saying? The Eagles can do that with Jalen Hurts. Go with the quarterback sneak.
Well, you don't even have to go with the quarterback sneak. You could fake it. You could get a run pass option. You got to pass off of that. There's so many different things, which gets that it's more interest. I think it's more interesting than the fans than watching everybody push, the rear end of Jalen Hurts for 1 yard. It's just, it doesn't do anything for me. And, it was probably 15 years ago, they eliminated it. You weren't allowed to push a player who was carrying the football. And they do push it because there's a couple of players, it's usually the running back and the tight end, that push Jalen Hurts. That was illegal probably 15 years ago. Why they took it out, I have no idea.
Howard, two more things. I'm a Penn State guy, but I can't cheer for Penn State with James Franklin there. I thought when I was broadcasting high school football, I watched him at high school. He was a whining, entitled kid then. And look at his schedule. I mean, it's embarrassing. We used to make fun of Nebraska back in the day when they were playing cupcakes.
Yeah, he's playing all high school teams.
Why don't you just take on St. Joe's Prep and LaSalle? You know what I mean? And then it's a whiteout game next week. I am actually hoping Penn State loses next week. And
What's the whiteout game? Oregon?
Oregon. It's the whiteout game. Yeah, and that's their whiteout game next week. I hope. Or I'm a fan of the Oregon head coach. I hope he comes to Happy Valley and just beats the snot and stuff.
How about number one? He schedules 3 high school teams to start the season, right? Was it 3 high school teams? I think it was 3 high school teams. 3 teams. He's 3-0, right? Is Penn State 3-0?
They're 3-0.
Okay, 3 high school teams. Then he has a bye week before Oregon, and then Marc Lawrence pointed out he's got a bye week before Ohio State.
It's a joke. It's
me?
a joke. And I argue with my Penn State friends last year. Oh, they beat top 25 teams in SMU and Boise State. I laughed. I said, stop. They really aren't top 25. They had the easiest path to take on Notre Dame last year. The easiest path. And I'm a Penn State guy, Howard. It pains me not to root for them. But James Franklin is a con. He can recruit, but he can't coach. He gets brain freeze in big situations in big games.
He's not a good coach. He's a terrible coach.
Now, as for baseball, this is going to drive me crazy. We are now having split pitcher games. First, we have bullpen games. Now we're having split pitchers games. The Mets started it this week. Now the Phillies did it this week. We're going to pitch this guy for 4 innings, and then we're going to bring in another starter for 4 innings. What in God's name is going on with pitching in Major League Baseball?
They're so worried about injuries. Can you imagine Robin Roberts, which I never saw Robin Roberts pitch in person. I knew Robin and I met him, but I never saw him pitch. He had 36 complete games one year. I think Steve Carlton, the year that he won 27, I think he probably had around 20 complete games that year. But now they won't do it. These guys should be healthier, should be better. You should train them to do that. I mean,
aren't they better athletes?
You would think so.
We hear these athletes of today are better shape, better.
I'm telling you. Yeah, it's really kind of a joke.
When the Phillies did that, and I saw the Mets do it, I'm like, here we go. We started with the bullpen games. Now we're going to go to split pitchers games. I'm like, oh my god. And analytics drive me crazy anyway. I just can't deal with it.
Are you? Do you feel sorry for Castellanos? He's whining again because he didn't start last night.
Shut the god darn up.
Yeah.
Man. All right, just you're on a team that's going to the playoffs.
I know.
Be a team player here, okay? I just get him out of here. I can't stand whiners. I just leave.
I know. It's just stop.
I don't think
they
can with the contract he has, but God, shut up.
Well, they're going to try to trade him anyway after the season. They got too many big contracts, and they're stuck with Turner and Harper. When I say stuck, it's just that money will kind of bring them down, and that may be a reason that they can't sign Schwarber.
Howard, what do you think about Pete Alonso? Contract-wise, if he comes if the Mets let him go to the free
I don't know what it's going to cost, but Harper wants to play first base, and whatever Bryce Harper wants, Bryce Harper gets.
Bryce Harper wants, Bryce Harper gets.
Well, otherwise, Rhys Hoskins would have been here. Rhys Hoskins would have been here this year if Bryce didn't want to play first base.
But it seems like everything goes through Bryce.
Yeah, he would have been better off in right field, so you would have been better in the outfield. Your lineup would have been better with Rhys Hoskins at first base. It would have just been better, not defensively, because Rhys was, but their defense is, so you're going to one position is going to make a difference.
If they lose Schwarber, I was just thinking because I'm in New York country and I'm hearing, Met fans, we got to sign Pete Alonso, and I'm hearing Pete wants to test free agency out.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Schwarber, Schwarber is a DH. Maybe Pete can just be a DH because he's questionable at first base.
I don't think he'd be happy being a DH. He obviously wants to play first base.
Good point.
All right, hey George, have a great weekend.
You too.
So it's fucking Stagger 50. So Hoskins is a telephone pole and can't catch a cold. I'll tell you what, he'd be perfect for their lineup. All right, a couple of things that I want to mention. I mentioned earlier in the show, Ramon George is a vice president of officiating trading, said 2 plays for the Eagles last week should have been penalties. Oh, actually, he said 1 play, and then the Fox broadcaster said another play. He didn't. I don't know what his comment was on the other play. Just run a football play, but they're going to run it, and I think they're going to be worried that the officials are going to call a penalty. I think they're going to be worried about that. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on. And I think the Phillies really need to sign Schwarber, but I don't know how they're going to do it with the money he's going to get. It's crazy. All right, let me mention, what was it? Thursday night. I just want to thank the people at Philadelphia Style Magazine for inviting me to their Philadelphia Style Party, which is a big party, the best of that they have every year. It was nice. I met a lot of nice people. It was really nice. I met a lot of nice people. I met somebody and I posted it on social media. Mike Costanzo was a former player for the Phillies, briefly in the major leagues, played in the minor leagues. He's from the area. He's got a vineyard now. It was, he's just one of the, I met somebody who bid on a dinner with me at Fork and he still remembers it. It was from years ago. And I want to say hello to him and people from outside the area that watch the podcast. A woman and her mother who watched the podcast. I want to thank them. And it was really nice meeting them. It was nice meeting everybody. And John Colabelli, who runs that show for Philadelphia Style, does a great job. And I want to thank John for making sure I got an invite. So thank you. And thanks to all the people there. All right. I want to close out this. I got to have a question. All right. My question to win the Chickies and Pete's gift certificate and submit it by midnight on Tuesday, September 23rd. No, I'm sorry. By midnight, the show's on Tuesday. So midnight on Monday, you got to submit it because the show's on Tuesday because James Brown, program note, James Brown is with us next week. So we're going to do it on Tuesday to work into his schedule. Monday night, you got to submit your answer. We will announce it on the show on Wednesday on X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube and it'll notify you as soon as we go live. And then you can, on all the platforms, you can watch the show in the future. All right. My question to win the Chickies and Pete's gift certificate. I asked Marc Lawrence, tell me what team is desperate this week. And he included one, and then I asked him for another. So the two teams that he thinks are desperate this week in the NFL. You come up with that answer, submit it to my website, howardeskin.com, and you win a Chickies and Pete's gift certificate. All right, we're going to close out the show today. Again, I gave you the program note about Tuesday night next week. It'll be Tuesday next week. By the way, you know who I met at the party, at the Philadelphia Style Party? Rodney McLeod. What a nice guy. Obviously, former player for the Eagles. Nice guy, and he's working for ESPN now. He's working for ESPN. He's analyst. He's the analyst on. He is an analyst on ESPN for their college football. Nice guy, and I'll have him on in the future on one of the podcasts as well. All right, the clown of the week. This is so easy, and not every week has a clown, but this week you have an all-time clown. It would be Cam Newton. Cam. This is the way he dresses up to go on TV. Like, what is that? He thinks he looks cool. I mean, it's just, what is that? Got to wear the hat. Okay, a lot of guys wear hats now. It's a foolish hat to wear when you're in studio on the air. It's stupid. It's stupid and moronic, and he's a complete dope. The tie looks like a clown. The hat looks like a clown. What he has, whatever that is on the top of the hat, is that really necessary? Is that really necessary? You think you're cool? People that try to be cool are uncool. He is uncool. I see somebody up here. The Vikings are always desperate, but I'm not going to tell you what Marc Lawrence said. Somebody, I don't want to get into political stuff, and I see somebody that's not happy with ABC, but I don't want to get into the political part. And I see Tim Cochran says, I guess Cam Newton is a dope. Overrated quarterback, stiff in the NFL, stiff. He was a stiff as a quarterback. Huggy Bear from Starsky and Hutch. Is that what that is? Huggy Bear, Pat? I have no idea. And I could care less about the tush push. And I will say this, Tony brought up the Sixers. If I talk about the Sixers, I apologize, because then I'm wasting your time. Everybody have a great week. See you on Tuesday for the Howard Eskin Show. Great guests they're all great guests with James Brown. And it's in Rosemont somewhere, a little Pee Wee League football team. And I'm going to be flipping the coin. And I'm going to do that. Patty, you're right. Cam Newton is a total joke. I go further than joke. He's a dope. He's a joke and a dope. All right. How about if Carson Wentz will have a good game? Wow, will he have a good game against Cincinnati? Carson Wentz starting for Minnesota on Sunday. All right, everybody have a great week. Thanks to Joe Gangemi for our technical help on the other side of all this, and Tony Anastasia for the graphics and all the good things that we put together with our graphics. Thanks to both of you. And Evolution Philly Band, have a great week, Howard. You too. Have a great week and a great weekend to everybody that joined the show and people that didn't, that will join it later. Thanks, and enjoy. Beautiful day, beautiful weekend. Eagles, Rams, and we'll talk about that with James Brown on Tuesday. Take care and have a great day.